Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is a continuation. Let's pop a top here. Continuation of 2024's preseason homework that I do, and I would suggest you get into this kind of stuff and do it too. But I know many will not. In fact, most will not. In fact, just a very few will actually get into this, and I know that because I look at the number of people that look at this video, and not many, and that's fine. I'm making money in fantasy football, and in some ways I'm glad that a lot of people are paying attention, and that's good for me. Puts money in my pocket. This is part 2, quarterbacks 2015 to 23. I'm continuing my top-down background analysis, reference class forecasting, having some basis to which I can start then making some decisions. And you've got to frame things properly in data analysis. As a microbiologist at a university, that's just what I've been trained to do since the 1980s. So, I mean, it's second nature to me how you deconstruct elements and then reconstruct and put them together. And things that I've learned and come on to in fantasy is the things that I've added is the psychological side, and I've got lessons to talk about thinking, decisions under uncertainty, and all that is part of our journey as well as our fantasy football diary, figure out what works for us. There's a lot of different moving pieces and parts that have to be touched on every year in preseason. So you can imagine the hours that I spend doing this here. And I love my figure here. This is this AI image generator here. I don't know. This is what came up. Who the blank knows what the hell's going on. Anyway. Pardon me. I like to look at pre and post season, kind of before as we're drafting, and then think about what it led to at the end. There's a disconnect. People don't follow up on that. Of course, they don't use their diary, and people looked at their first picks, second picks, etc. And how did they turn out? Certain positions are you better at than others? I've harped on this a lot and will continue. But now I'm getting into the details here a little bit of quarterbacks. I have the other 3 positions to do as well. I got 230 something slides yet in this little beginning. Okay, you're saying this is not the end. No, this is just beginning. This is slide 15 out of 230 something. So just tell you what's here. Okay, first thing. Part 1, check it out. Global patterns and things. Okay, now I'm moving into something that I like to follow up on. I'm looking at draft rounds, so that's before the season, rounds 2 to 30. Okay, I've got a lot of data out there in these best ball and deep dynasty drafts and things. I've collected that, and I show you from the 9 years before 2015 to 23 the number of quarterbacks that have been drafted in round 2, 3, 4, etc. You can see that rounds 2, 3, and 4, it's been 9, 9, and 8. And notice round 5 to about 14, you get a boatload drafted. So if you think about just what people are thinking overall, it is clear that not a lot of folks are drafting quarterbacks early. Probably makes sense. the late round quarterback is fashionable, and what that means when I hear the word fashionable, that means everybody's doing it, or a lot of people are doing it, and that means I probably shouldn't do it, right? You always, what is it, Pittsburgh Phil said you move unilaterally against the public in any kind of information-based investing, which fantasy football really is, if you think about it. So we need to move against the public, not with the public. So the fact that people are not taking quarterbacks early intrigues me, because maybe that's where I should be. Look at your diary. You figure it out, right? If you're good at picking late quarterbacks, keep doing it, okay? But if not, you might consider early quarterbacks. I mean, there's pros and cons to that, right, as you build a team. And there's some research, and I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but I try to visualize outcomes of various drafting strategies. I know people have done that, and I don't think they've really done it in a comprehensive way. I know they haven't. And if they have, they're not putting it out there, right? And folks, my thinking is there's a lot more data that's being showed, right? The whole cards are not being turned for us, right? People are making money. I suspect daily fantasy, people going after millions of dollars, they are not telling everybody what they're doing. There's probably syndicates out there, groups of people that are working together, I assume. The reason I think that is because I know in horse racing that there are groups and syndicates that have put together over the years to make money at that as well. And if you look at Hong Kong racing, if you just Google that and successful investing of horse racing in Hong Kong, I think you'll find the group and the people and the person I'm talking about there that has done it. And I know there's others out there as well, but they fly under the radar. Anyway, circling back, I like to see numbers of quarterbacks where they're drafted. And I've got this for tight ends, running backs, wide receivers as well. And at the same time, I like to look at the average end of the season, EOS, right? End of season total fantasy point, the average. Okay, you can look at that. And then, of course, you can get the average of points per player there and get that and see what it's all about. And you can see right away, look at round 4, round 5, 40 points, 15 points. So it gets real about round 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way to 14. And look at the decline. Look at the decay rate. Folks, after about the 6th round, I'm getting worried. I'm not even pleased to see the 5th round data here, but 6th round, after that, it doesn't come up for air till late, and you're saying, well, I see some big numbers late. Well, notice the numbers are so small. So once the sample sizes get small, it gets all wacky and out of proportion. I think round 16 with 11 is more realistic than round 15 with 4. Okay. So I don't think that data's, I think it's tricking us. Okay. So I calculate it, realize it, but I'm not buying what's selling there, that I should wait to the 15th round and draft my first quarterback. I'm not buying that. Okay. So there's that data. And if I plot the visual side of this, and so you'll notice I put the table and colorize it, look at it, try to get some impressions, and then I look at the visual side, and I probably should, yeah, I like that's probably less busy. Okay, so I'm saving that. Okay. Quarterbacks 15 to 23 counts versus average PPR points per draft round, right, for the quarterback. And the green is the actual average of total points. I just did a trend line that's really not just a line connecting the points, right? The trend is in yellow, and you see it's pretty much a decline, right, from high to low. What's interesting, and I think this emphasizes it, is the boxes, the orange boxes, show the numbers per draft round. And this draft round here is not really realistic. I should kill that, because this is the first here is draft round 2. So I probably should recalculate this figure here and copy 2 to 30 and put that down on the x-axis. But anyway, that's not round 1. It looked like it. It is clear, 2, 3, and 4, that the difference between the trend and the numbers, way different. The dramatic nature of that. And I believe in horse racing, they've called it impact value. The impact value of those early quarterbacks is about 3 times what the impact value is past round 4, so round 5. And it gets worse. Okay, the higher the numbers and the lower the trend, it's worse. You're starting to get negative impact here. It's not good. Okay, there's a lot of zonks in the mix per draft round here. Oh, go back here. Come on, John. So anyway, that's the take home for me, is if you're drafting in this range, and that's the late round quarterback, and I understand what that theory is, or hypothesis, I don't know if it's not theory, is if you are good enough to find the nugget here, the gold nugget in amidst all the pieces of quartz there, the gold in versus the quartz, you're good. Okay, so you win. So if your draft diary says you could be in here, then you're going to win, because you're not blowing early round draft capital, and you're winning here if you can do that. Part 1 shows starts getting lean definitely round 6. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about right there. Okay. Notice you get a little bump right there. I'm liking that. But after that, it's really hard to tell. There's a little bit of funkiness around 5. I think people maybe are overestimating some quarterbacks in round 5. Just put that in the back of your mind. I mean, you should definitely double check everything, but historically, I think there's some overreaction to round 5 quarterbacks. I think that's what data's telling me. Okay. So when I go back and look at it this way, so I actually break the years out, and so I have a doublet, 15 and 15. So that's the numbers and the actual average. And so you can see all of it broken down that way. So if you actually want to study the goodness there, and here's 2023, and look at boy, it got lean about round 6. There was goodness at round 7, but after that it got lean. Yeah, if you could pick this round 12, okay, think about the advantage you had. But look at how many you'd have to pick through to get this one, right? If you think about, here's roughly 11, and there's 2 goodies in 11. So 2 out of 11 last year were good and excellent, great. So are you that good? Can you know to pick just the 2 out of 11? But here, look, it's 3, 9, 10, what's it? Is it 2, 4? Is that 10? 10. So out of 10 here, you had really over half or about half straight goodness. So almost by random chance, you had a 50-50 shot of getting some good stuff last year. And you see 2021 and 2022, there was that same kind of thing happening. And remember, I said that you could get lucky if you knew how to pick early. The later round says that you're good at picking late, right? And so when they come up with this theory, yeah, it's great if you can pick the correct 2 out of 11. What does your diary say? You say, well, I don't have a diary. Well, then you want 50-50 or you want 2 out of 11. I don't know what that is. What is that, about 10%? Something like that, 12%, 15%, 50%, 15%. 3 times less chance that you'll grab a good one here. Boy, I don't need that at all. Okay, what does this data say? So I then flipped back to draft round, got the average 15 to 19, average 20 to 23, because it, to me, was clear things had changed from 19 to 20. So I divided the data. I cut the data into 2. And we looked at the counts average, the points average, and the points per player average. And if you actually look at the points per player average, in the old days, the best was round 4. But boy, after that, you were round 7 and later, you were, it was not good for overall average, right? Overall. I understand if you were good and could pick the goodies, then, 15% chance or whatever it was. Last few years, you actually had a good chance round 6 and up. Again, round 5, historically, there's something going on around 5. So I got to remember. So if I keep going back to that, because frankly, when I've gone through this, I just noticed that. Okay, right now, 228.24. Here's my data. I generated it, made it. And now I just started thinking something is going on in round 5. Why have we missed on round 5? Is that just some injuries and by chance, or is there something else going on? So to me, the story is saying early quarterbacks have always had an advantage, and you were easier to find it. So you were burning draft capital for safety, right? Because you didn't have any data that you could pick the 15% later, okay? So the theory works if you're good at it. So I can propose that, and I can say it, but is that really real? See, that's when I don't know. People on Twitter flap their jaw. I don't know what's real or not. I assume it's all fake and done with mirrors and smoke. Anyway, there's some very interesting things. And let's see, what did I do here? So I looked at points per player. So I pulled this data back out and divided these 2 years. Okay, and you can see some differences. And overall, my takeaway is if you look, say, round 10 and up, things have been a lot better than in the previous years. Looks like just quarterback scoring has gone up, which we know that's happened. So the data is turning us on to that reality that quarterbacks have been really putting lots more points in. So when you're getting more points for a position, it's making that position more valuable. So you can't handle them like you did 5-6 years ago. Okay, and you definitely need to understand where you're coming from Are you getting blown up or not by quarterbacks? Okay. So in fab budget and during season, if you can pick the quarterback that maybe will step up when there's injury, it could put money in your pocket, and it's another thing. So how good are you at fab picking there? So if we look at this data, I divided into 2 blocks over the 9 years, and we get trend lines. The blue is the last 20, 21, 22, last 4 years. The orange, last 5 years preceding. So if you look at the blue, it is clear that the quarterbacks are declining after round 3. Looks like with the orange, the quarterbacks are declining after round 4. So it looks like there's been a shift in the extreme nature of early quarterbacks. And in the last few years, we've seen more valuable quarterbacks coming out early versus late. And if you look in the recent times, you get again, the last 4 years, that around round 8, you're starting to see a decline at that point. And in orange, that it was about round 5 or so, you were starting to see a decline. You had a pop at about round 11 and then a decline again, but really nothing you'd want. So we've actually, because of higher quarterback scoring, we've kind of had these guys. So if you think about a tier, you got these folks and you got these folks right in here. So to about round 8. So it looks like rounds 2, 3, 4 and rounds 5, 6, 7, 8 are 2 different populations there. And that's where you want to be digging. But I like to see what all that's about. So if you look at the box and whisker, the overall population is here. I went and found this figure on the internet. If you look at image, box and whisker image, what the box and the whiskers are show. So here's the box in blue, the whisker top and bottom. These are by 25 percentile. That means a fourth of the population. So a fourth of the population is the top whisker. The top 25% are represented by the whisker. The bottom of 25 are by this bottom whisker. And the box represents the mid 50%. And the median is the line here. And you're saying, well, what is it? That's the average. There's that's the median. I think the median. I forgot. Anyway, one of these is the average, one is median. To me, notice in quarterbacks are extremes. 325 average points versus 80. And the top 25%, 486 is the best that's been, down to 325. So you probably want to stay up in this upper whisker here. Has things changed in the last 4 or 5 years compared to the preceding 4 or 5? Yes. 15 to 18, here's the population. Look at the box, look at the whiskers. Probably should, I don't know if it will let me. Let's see. Border. I don't know if it will show me that. Is it blue? Yeah. Oh, silly me. Anyway, it is clear times have changed, folks. And the upper whiskers from 380 to 460, 486. Previous years, 297, almost 100 points less. Times have changed. Look at the top. The best that's been 15 to 18 was the worst of the top 25%. Notice they're the same. So, quarterback scoring has gone up in the upper quadtile 25%. Times have changed for quarterbacks. They're worth more than they were. Okay? So, quarterbacks in some ways are probably really more critical than they've always been. So your decision then and what you draft has to be more critical. Just makes logical sense. Okay. I don't know how long. Okay, 26 minutes. Okay. Been flapping my chops. Love this data. When you see something like this, it is clear things have changed, folks, and you've got to keep up with it. You've got to have a plan. And, people that are looking at bottom up are missing these big trends. Anybody talked about this? Go look at Twitter, and is there any serious discussion of box and whisker analysis of quarterbacks and average points? Answer is no. Not saying it's not there somewhere or people don't know it, i.e. pundits. It's just they're not telling you, folks. Wonder why they're not telling you. Okay? Wonder why. I know why. Because they're making money. And they're going to sell you the tailings. They're going to keep the goodies. If you're into gold mining, you understand what tailings are. In other words, they've already picked through the goodies and they're not showing you everything. And I know it's human nature. Don't forget that. Regardless of what you see, what's behind, what are you missing? That's what I would think about. What are you missing? Okay, so that's enough of me running my mouth for part 2. I'll be covering part 3 in the next lesson here. This is critical data that you won't hear anywhere else at all. You just need to become one with it and understand this is the background at which you're drafting into for 2024. Okay. Thanks for listening. This is Dr. Bush for the Science of FantasyFootball.com. Check out all our goodies over there. Come back. Part 3's coming for quarterbacks. Woo woo.